So the maintenance aspect between composite decking and PVC is relatively the same. You're just going to hose or power wash those products off. You're really not going to use any chemicals on them. Some companies will allow you to use 1 or 2 chemicals, but the maintenance is identical really. As far as the durability, HDPE, high density polyethylene composites, the surface of those tends to be a little more durable than a PVC. PVCs are a little softer, but the benefit of a PVC over an HDPE is that it's going to dissipate the heat and be able to stay a little cooler than a composite deck. And you'll have some different colors and textures as you go from one of those products to the other, because those are usually brand specific products. But other than that, there's not a lot of difference. The installation cost for a composite board or a PVC board is the same. Whether you install it with a hidden fastener or you face screw it, they're going to be installed the same. There's no difference in the installation cost. PVCs tend to be a little more upfront cost because those boards are a little more expensive than a average HDPE composite board. As far as upkeep and cost over time, it's going to be the same. But I will say that PVC boards, AZAC is kind of the mothership behind that brand. Their stain and fade warranty is 50 years, whereas most composites are 25 to 30 years. So if you were to stretch that out into that 25 year and beyond, you could say that a PVC board may last longer as far as staining and fading. As far as performing structurally, they're both going to perform just fine in extreme cold and hot temperatures. PVC's polyvinyl chloride is going to expand and contract more than a traditional composite board. And that's because a WPC or a wood plastic composite has wood fibers in the core of that, and that wood provides stability and mitigates expansion and contraction, whereas a PVC product is purely plastic. So its thermal expansion coefficient is higher, meaning that it fluctuates more and changes size more with temperature changes. What that means is nothing to do with the functionality of the deck, but if you were to cut miter joints or have boards that meet each other, you'll notice those gaps and those joints will become bigger as the product cools, whereas a composite board, they'll stay a little tighter. Now, PVC has its place. The one thing I'm not a big fan of PVC, or what we call cellular PVC boards, is that they are malleable and they're not real rigid. And that matters because the decking is what unifies the framing members. It's what makes them work together. And today's wood framing, they're growing pine trees in about 7 to 10 years, pumping them full of steroids. And so they really try to move as they weather and dry out. So PVCs don't do as good a job because they're not as rigid as a composite board would. So you'll typically see more undulations, more movement in the framing with a PVC deck. We have no problems using PVC if that's what somebody wants, but I generally recommend steel framing if we do that, so we don't have to worry about that concern. And then some people will want a PVC board because of the heat dissipation. There's a product called Eovations. It's made by Decorators, which is also a purely plastic board that is more rigid than PVC, which does also dissipate the heat. And that's generally if somebody's looking for a PVC board or a board that stays cooler, I'll generally push them towards that Eovations technology, or what they've now marketed as Surestone technology for Decorators. But cap composites is where most people find that they're not breaking the bank and they're still getting the look they want and the longevity of the board. So it's the lion's share of the industry for us is a mid-range composite board.